Well, good afternoon, coasters, and just heading down now to the annual general meeting of the Whitebaiters Association. It's in Hokitika. Now, there's hardly a car park left, and the RSA is absolutely packed. Going at a car park. What a stunning day.
I tell you not. Sit up there on the floor.
Good muster. Okay, so I want to say welcome to everybody and thanks for coming and showing your support. We need the numbers, so please fill out the membership forms on the web page, or Karen has done at the back of the room, but we've accosted you all as you've done in the door. So if we miss somebody, please roll them in. And please sign the attendance form, and we'll get that circulating in case it's been missed by anybody. Especially welcome to ecologist Mike Hickford. He travelled over the icy pass from Christchurch this morning. Yesterday he was unsure that he would even make it, so we're very pleased that you did. Huge thanks, Mike. And he's going to do a presentation, and then you'll have a short question and answer time afterwards, because we've got so much to get through. Now I co-opted Barry Wilson on as Vice President in the interim, Karen Burrows as Treasurer, and Rosie Searle as Secretary. The reasons will be further explained in my report, but I'll remind you that the four of us are busy people with commitments outside of the association, and we are here in the interim only. And there is talk about forming a committee, and while I realise it was intended as a help, I'm not in favour. Rather, I would like to see two representatives from each river report back on the issues unique to their area. This will be discussed in general business, and so will the need for the constitution to be updated. There is much to be discussed in limited time, so if you have something positive and well thought out to contribute, please stand and introduce yourself and get to the point, but that'll be in general business. So, thank you, Mike.
Right, thank you for coming along. Not to see me, I understand, but you get me quite default, and it wasn't icy or snowing on the past, despite what everyone kept bloody telling me. So what I wanted to do today, guys, is just talk a little bit about some of the research that we've been doing around the species that support the whitebait fishery. I don't want to say anything about closing of fisheries, but you're going to ask me that anyway, so we'll talk about that later on. Just to give you my background, I'm a fish biologist. That's what I trained as. I work on the early parts of fisheries, so I don't work on the big guys, I work on the little parts of them. I've had research grants working on whitebait now for the last 15 years. Up and down the coast principally, but also starting to spread our wings a little bit further and doing stuff around the rest of the country as well. I work on doing stuff with habitat restoration, looking at populations, dynamics, how they change, and looking at the characteristics of whitebait as they come back into rivers. Characteristics in terms of their age, their size, their species, those sort of characteristics. The bit that you care about, I am a whitebaiter. I fish on a river, you wouldn't want to go there, it's crap, we never catch anything. So I pulled this out of the press. Two of New Zealand's most valuable assets, its native fauna and its native forest, are well on the way to extinction before the government thought of interfering. And whitebait are rapidly going the same way. That was on the press on the 5th of September in 1929. 28. Everybody thinks they're inventing the wheel. It's already been done, right? 1928, the whitebait fishery is rapidly going the same way. But this stuff comes up all the time, and I see it, and it's in the paper, it's on the news, it pops up the whole time. It's really actually not that interesting to me because most of it is completely uninformed, the stuff that comes out, and there's not a lot of science behind it. I'm a scientist, I do science, I need evidence, I don't need opinions. These are the two problems that I get thrown up regularly at me. That we're fishing an endangered species, and a singular endangered species, and that whitebait catches are declining. Those are the two things I hear most often. So we'll sort of deal with those two things one at a time. You may have seen this stuff popping up around the place, you know, how do you like your whitebait? It's going extinct. You may have seen this one, which is a bit more sort of specific about the different species. Here are Inanga, they're threatened. Here are Guaro, they're threatened. Here are Banded Cockapoo, they're not threatened. Short jaws are threatened. Those words have a meaning, the threatened, the not threatened. They come from a classification system the Department of Conservation works, and a lot of smart people sit down for quite a long time to decide for individual species, not just of whitebait, for plants, for birds, for everything else, what their classification is. So first of all, those are actually the wrong words. Inanga are not threatened, they are called at-risk declining. Quite different, okay? Guaro, they're not threatened, they're at-risk declining as well. Giant Cockapoo, they're also at-risk declining. Okay, they got the other ones sort of right. Short jaw is threatened and vulnerable, and Banded Cockapoo are not threatened. But those words mean something. You can't just go out and say we're catching endangered species, because we are not catching endangered species, because endangered has a meaning, okay? So that's the first bit of crap we have to deal with. Then I see this coming up all the time, where they want us to be catching North Island brown kiwi, because they've got the same threat ranking as whitebait. They're both ranked at risk declining. This is a North Island brown kiwi chip. I chose the cutest picture I could find of it, right? They take 4 years before they mature. When they mature, they might lay 4, maybe 6 eggs a year, okay? The entire population of those in the North Island, which is the entire population in the world, is 20,000 of them. Okay? I can take you out to the tiniest creek on the west coast and show you 20,000 Inanga whitebait in that creek. Okay? So although they both have the same thing that describes them, they are completely different. You can't compare across different taxonomic groups and say, both of them are at risk declining. It's like going and fishing for kiwis, because it's not. Okay, they are different. This is a fish, this is a bird. Okay, that's the only similarity between the two damn things. So if you hear that coming up, don't just swear at them, but tell them that. You can't compare across these different groups using these strict classifications. Again, these are not whitebait. Okay, these are things which are in trouble around the world, and they are in trouble because they have a thing called recruitment limitation. It means there's not enough babies coming into their populations to actually support the population. So kakapo don't have enough babies to support the population. Giant pandas don't have enough babies to support the population. That is not true of any of these whitebait species. An inanga, a tiny little female inanga, produces, and she gets big and fat and healthy, she'll produce 6,000 eggs inside her. Okay? 6,000 eggs. That's for a small inanga. You can imagine what these great big monsters, when they get up into the giants, how many eggs they can pump out. These species are not recruit limited. It means when you are catching their babies, which is what you're doing when you're whitebaiting, you are catching a lot of fish that will probably die anyway. And that's important. What's important to know is that they will die often by feeding other things. So I'm not saying you can catch as many whitebait as you want because they're all going to die. I'm saying there's a threshold there of whitebait that we can catch which will make absolutely no difference to the adult populations because they would die anyway. Those fish still have value. They are still bringing nutrients back in from the ocean. Things eat them. Yeah, kahawai eat a shitload of them right out of the river mouth. We all know that. Eels eat them. Trout eat them. They die, they bring those nutrients back into the rivers. So they still have a value. And the problem is that we don't know how many of the babies we can eat before it actually starts to have an effect on the adults. That's the bit that we don't know. Alright, this is the other one that pops up all the time. The whitebait fishery is declining. These are the only data that show any long-term trend in the whitebait catch. Okay, these were gathered by Whitebait Dow. They go from 1934, I think it is, 33, through until 1974. He gathered the data from buyers on the coast. They are the only widespread data that is available that show anything about the whitebait fishery in New Zealand. There is no trend. That's the line, if you put it through there. I'll chuck a bit of maths at you. This thing here tells you how good the fit is. If that number was 1, it would be really good. It's 0.0006. In other words, the line is crap at describing what's going on. There's a lot of variability in the catch. I don't need to tell you that what you catch this year in a fishery is quite different to what you catch next year if you're whitebaiting, okay? It's all over the place. The other interesting thing, again with a little bit of maths, that's the slope of the line. If this fishery was actually declining, that would be a negative number. If you want to believe me, which you shouldn't, because there's absolutely no way this line describes these data, if anything, Bob's data, the only data on the whitebait fishery, show that it's slightly increasing. Until 1974. I was 6. Yeah? Those are the data that we have. So nobody knows. You don't know that it's not declining. I don't know that it's not declining. It could be declining. But we don't know. There are no data out there.
Well, there we go, folks. We'll go and have a look at the videos I've taken today at the annual general meeting of the Whitebaiters Association. Very good speech by Mike Hickford, and he confirmed that the West Coast is the only place where there's rivers closed for whitebaiting to protect them, that there is no information on catches from 1974, and what there is before that has been done by one person. It was very interesting. And he's been working on whitebait habitat, which is where he thinks the major problem is, for about 15 years. So, well worth the effort, and got to say I really enjoyed it. But as long as New Zealand is treated the same as the West Coast, I think we'll be right. Let's see what happens.